my name is Samantha, and I am an environmental studies major here at the University of Michigan-Dearborn. And today we are at the Environmental Interpretive Center's outdoor classroom, which we like to call the natural area. This area has a variety of natural habitats that provide food, water, shelter, and space for a variety of living things. The pond has lots of water, so we call it an aquatic habitat. And today we're going to be using science tools and our sense of discovery to focus on the aquatic life in the pond. So let's make some guesses as to what we might see. We might find some frogs, some tadpoles, some turtles, maybe even a couple of bugs. This pond used to be in someone's backyard. The man who owned it many years ago was Henry Ford, the famous automaker. He and his wife Clara loved nature. This gazebo was where Clara and her friends would gather to relax and look out at thousands of rose bushes that were part of her famous rose garden. In Clara's time, the pond was a clear pool with hardly any animals or plants. It was called a reflecting pool because its surface reflected the clouds in the sky above like a mirror. After Henry and Clara passed away, the university was gifted the property and we could no longer maintain it, so we let it go back to nature, and now it is this beautiful aquatic habitat. The leaves on the trees over many years would fall into the pond, and they would start to decompose, which means break down. And that would create a place for plants to take root, which would create a shelter and food for herbivores. Herbivores eat only plants, just plants. And then the carnivores came along, which they eat only meat. And then came along the omnivores, which eat meat and plants just like us. And this creates a food web. So with all these creatures in the pond, this created a community. The community is like their neighborhood. An important step in discovery is observation. So let's check by observing what we can find in the pond. So first, I'm going to show you how to do it safely. We're going to keep 1 foot on the grass, and then we're going to put 1 foot on the rocks. The first scientific tool we're going to use today is our eyes. So let's take a look. Look, there's a frog. That is our first sign of a healthy habitat. So frogs, they cannot tolerate pollution. So we like to call them an indicator species. So if there's a frog in the habitat, it's healthy. So one of the other tools today we're going to be using is an aquatic dip net. So this will help scoop out the vegetation in the pond so we can put them into the pan so we can find out what we have in here. So first, we're going to have to follow that rule of 1 foot on the rock, 1 foot on the grass. So what we're going to do is just skim the surface, get some of this vegetation, which we like to call pond salad, and then we will bring it over to our pan. Gently put it in here. Get all this pond salad out, and then we'll go ahead and take a look and see what's in here. So we'll take our hands, gently swish it around, and see if we can find anything swimming around. I have a couple of things in here, but once we're done swishing, we will take a big old handful of our pond salad, and we'll gently walk it back over to the pond because there's still little things living in here. And gently place it back in. So let's go back over to our pan and see if we find anything. Okay. So that first sample we got was a little cloudy, so I've already added some fresh clear water here for us to look at a second scoop. So let's go ahead and get to that. Let's see what we can find out of this scoop here.
Here we have two kinds of snail species found in the pond. On the left, the one with the shell that looks like an ice cream cone swirl, is the gilled snail. This snail breathes the same way that a fish does, through its gills. The other snail here on the right uses lungs for breathing. It's called a pulmonate snail. I think it looks like a little cinnamon bun. The pulmonate snail is the one we usually catch the most of because they have to be near the surface of the water so they can breathe air. Snails are herbivores and like to eat plants and algae. Their shells are hard, which makes them an adaptation for protection from predators. You might think of an adaptation as a kind of tool that helps a living thing to survive in its environment. This creature is called a leech. Leeches are known for one major trait: sucking blood. The leech attaches itself to another creature, called its host, and drinks some of its blood. Once it has fed, it drops off of the host and swims away. Leeches do not usually kill or do much harm to their host, so we call them parasites instead of predators. Different kinds of aquatic leeches have different hosts, which may include frogs, turtles, and snails. The soldier fly spends part of its life in the water as a larva, shown here, and part on land as an adult fly. They lay their eggs in the water. Soldier flies undergo complete metamorphosis. Complete metamorphosis involves a change in body form and has 4 stages. It goes from egg to larva, larva to resting stage called a pupa, and from resting stage to the adult fly, which is shown here. These are green frog tadpoles. To get to the frog stage, these tadpoles also have to go through metamorphosis. It's part of the green frog's life cycle. A life cycle is the series of changes in the life of a kind of living thing, what we call a species, in this case, the green frog, and includes reproduction. First, an adult female frog lays her eggs in the water. These soon hatch into tadpoles. After about a year in the tadpole stage, each tadpole will start to grow legs and absorb its tail. Its eyes will even move to the top of its head. The change from tadpole to adult frog happens over just a few weeks. Green frog tadpoles are herbivores, and remember, herbivores only eat plants. Adult green frogs are carnivores, so they only eat meat.
So before we head out today, I have to return these tadpoles to the pond, so I will show you how to do that safely and carefully. So we have to just gently pour them back in. So now let's have a scientific discussion about their lives and how they play a role in this aquatic habitat.
Dragonflies go through an incomplete metamorphosis. It's different from complete metamorphosis in that it does not include a pupa. They start out as an egg, which is laid in the water. Then the egg hatches into the nymph stage, shown in this picture. This dragonfly nymph may spend up to several years in the water. Once the nymph is ready to come out of the pond as an adult dragonfly, they crawl out of the water and onto a piece of grass or plant and start to shed their exoskeleton. After several sheds, they are ready to fly, feed, and mate. As adults, the females lay their eggs in the water and the whole process starts over again. Damselflies look very similar to dragonflies, but they are much smaller and their wings are folded behind them instead of on the side like dragonflies. The aquatic nymphs breathe with gills. Its gills are located in a spot much different from those of a fish. Fish have gills right by their faces. The damselfly has gills right on the end of its tail in V-shaped gill plates, which have a feathery look to them. Like the dragonfly, the damselfly also undergoes incomplete metamorphosis. This creature is one of my favorites here in the pond because they are so cool looking. This picture shows the larva of a predaceous diving beetle, sometimes called the water tiger. It's a very active swimmer and is a carnivorous predator. They can get up to about 2 inches long, and they can sometimes eat other animals that are bigger than them. A favorite snack of theirs is tadpoles. The way they attack their prey is pretty fascinating. They often rest near the water surface where they hold the tip of their abdomen above the water to breathe. There, they wait for a tadpole to come up for air so they can snatch it up. Located on their heads are curved pincers, which act as little pokers and straws. Grabbing prey with their pincers, they quickly inject a liquid into the prey that paralyzes it and turns its insides into sort of a tadpole slurpee, which is sucked up. The larva will change into adult beetles, which look like land beetles, but they live in the water. When the adult wants to dive and rest or swim underwater for a while, they store air under their wings to breathe. The adults can also fly, which helps them find new aquatic habitats.
Well, thank you for joining me at the pond today, and then I hope to see you guys here soon in person so that we can do this together. So for now, I'll say goodbye, but see you soon.